fawns.
That's us.
This is how a fawn dances when I just shake it in lotion.
Help me. You know what I mean?
So the number one question is, who is the fawn in this? You know, and what would you?
I think the audience their answer to that question will shift over the course of the movie.
I like that. And it's an audience assigned fawn. It depends who you ask, you know?
Yeah.
It's okay.
No, and not to be all like lame about it, but I think this movie, there's such a subjective aspect to what the movie is telling you, how the characters are interpreting what's happening, and how the audience is interpreting what happens, that I think that's one of the sort of charms of
I think so.
And I think the title is one aspect.
And I should start this interview by saying, like, I am a fucking fangirl for this movie now. Like, as soon as it started, I was like, fuck, this is beautiful. This is going to be extremely my shit. I'm going to build my entire personality around this movie now. It's who I'm going to be as a person.
You're the first Bonnie.
Yeah, I'm the first
Bonnie.
Suck it, James Cameron. I don't know why.
You chose to shoot this on 16 millimeter, and it just has such a feel to it, like from the first shot, and you're like, okay, yes, I'm in it, I'm here for it. So I know you were kind of hesitant to do like 16 or shoot on film in general, right?
Yeah, well, I just never done it before, and I think I came of that generation where we were told, you can't. You make independent films, you can't afford to shoot film, and I give credit to Joe Bagos and Josh Ethier, who are two filmmakers who did it on Bliss, and then were generous enough to sort of share their experience, things to look out for, how they accomplished it, and we were able to just sort of take their data and incorporate it into our production. And it's something I encourage every filmmaker to do a little more due diligence on, because somebody's going to tell you, no, you can't do it. It's not how movies are made anymore. Well, they're not made that way anymore because somebody said you can't. You absolutely can, and I think the end result is something that may be closer to the movie you see in your head than if you didn't try it.
Yes, I love that. Sarah, you get to do a lot of fun things in this. I don't want to be spoilery, but we're dealing with like Furies and playing with mythology and like bringing modern things and like kind of blending all of this. And you get to do a lot of different stuff in this. What was it that appealed? Like when you read the script, were you just like, oh fuck yes? Or was there a moment where you're like, this is what I want to do this because of this part?
No, it was the whole thing, really. I liked that she wasn't just sort of a lamb going to slaughter, you know, or even if she were to prevail, she's been through her trials, has learned, has worked on that, and is coming into this with her eyes wide open, and still ends up in a bad situation, but registering each red flag, registering her own instinct, and sort of not tucking it away, but for I think good reasons. I think it's reasonable for her to be like, that was weird or lame, but okay, moving on, and then eventually it gets to the point where she's in too deep. But I really like that aspect of it, and I think the themes of justice and what justice means was really exciting.
Yeah.
I'm in. 100% in. Yeah.
Josh, this is an interesting role for you because there are definitely physical comedy aspects to it, but you're also like just a fucking dark character as well. But then you also get these kind of like, it's like your Bruce Campbell moment. And some of it is like very physical, and then even like your outfit. I don't know if that was on purpose, but you got a kind of like an Ash kind of look going on. Yeah. But the physical part while also being like dark, is that fun for you? Like balancing comedy and also like maybe you're scared of life.
So fun. Because I think just as a filmmaker and as an actor, like my dream is to find that perfect balance between legitimately funny and genuinely scary. This was less of a buoyantly funny and more just a circumstantially, humorous in certain moments movie. But yeah, I mean that's the dream. The dream is like any opportunity. Like this is essentially American Psycho by way of that Evil Dead framing. So it's such a dream because it hits all part of everything I want to do.
It checks all those boxes.
All the boxes.
This is who you are as a.
Dangerous yet funny, like a goblin, but
a charming goblin.
A goblin, but stylish. You know what I mean? I mean, this shirt is from Madewell, so it's kind of like one of those things where it's like, is he dangerous or is he just strange? You know what I mean? What do you think we'll do with that blurb, just in
That's-
terms of?
It's just gonna be, you know what I mean? You know what I mean? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's gonna be like.
Oh, yeah.
It's just always.
We'll auto-tune.
You know what I mean? I love Cone. You know what I mean?
Come.
That is actually just such like a like it's I don't know, something that's very scary to me about like the instincts, and where you're like, maybe I'm like overreacting a little bit, or maybe it's like this is like, listen to this, and it's like, okay, he's charming, but also like there's like red flags too. But at what point are you like, okay, fuck this, and like you also, it's like that thing of like you want to be polite, right? And you don't want to like offend somebody, but also are you psychotic? Like,
Yeah, I mean, I think for me with Meredith, what I thought was one of the things that's so strong about her is that she's going into this with the, like, intending to, like, she's decided to trust someone again. And as far as she can tell, she has no reason not to trust him to a reasonable extent. And he takes advantage of that. Like, it's a healthy, good impulse and instinct and desire. And people who are bad will be like, cool, I'm going to exploit the best of what a person is. And even though she's had her experiences in the past and has learned from them, she's still not invulnerable to, you know, like a master manipulator, a master like goblin, right?
And that's like an aspect that like con men use, which is like the reason why you keep saying yes beyond when you normally would is because they're very good at sort of dangling the thing you want in front of you to distract you.
Yeah, you care about people, right? And it's like, yes, of course, and it's great. I'm going to exploit that.
Right.
Like, I don't care about people,
Yes.
and it's a weakness.
Yes.
But I can. It's not a weakness, but you know what I mean. Yeah.
now I feel very angry with you now.
No, I know, and I think that's interesting. You know, having played goblins for so many years, I thought maybe, you know, people have giggled. Now it's time to just freak everybody out.
Love it. Oh, the location on this was amazing. Where did you guys shoot this? Also, a cabin in the woods, but I'm like, this is the most fucking stylish cabin I've ever seen.
I filter everything through the most beautiful, sort of aesthetically pleasing filter as possible. But yeah, we shot in Princeton, New Jersey.
Okay.
And you know, beautiful community. Got to make the film with a bunch of New York crew that I'd never worked with before. So yeah, it was really fun, and I think part of the key to sort of figuring out how to tell the story was that realization that there are some correlations between sort of in the art world how male artists have sort of stolen, absorbed, or overshadowed the work of their female either creative or romantic partners. And I was like, well, that's an interesting parallel for what Bruce is doing with his partners and what these male artists did. So using that as sort of a key, then we can start bringing in artwork from a bunch of different mediums and try to find ways to sort of honor the iconography of the Arenaeus, while also sort of dazzling the audience with some 1970s style you know, big paintings behind actors and just sort of all that stuff that I grew up loving in cinema. That hasn't been there as much, I feel.
The whole thing feels very much, I'm like, I feel like I could have seen this when I was a kid and been like, what is this? And it just like blows your mind. So I always appreciate, it's so rare that I find something like that, but like when I find it, I appreciate the shit out of it and like cling to it and base my personality on it, you know?
Yeah, I mean, that's, I think there is a quality to the films that came out of some earlier eras that still work on the same level as they did then. They work on that level now because every craftsman working on that movie had an opportunity to sort of have their work shine. Not like everybody's doing a guitar solo, but the wardrobe is working in conjunction with the production design, which is working in conjunction with the hair and makeup and the actor's performance. All of them are doing it harmoniously, so you have something that has a lot of depth, both visually and therefore emotionally, because everything's working in harmony. And I'm trying to utilize that on these sort of contemporary productions, which is something that not everybody has a ton of experience with, because shooting digitally, shooting on these sort of current production schedules, you're just sort of getting information. And maybe there's not as much time, care, and thought being given to how to present that information in the most cinematic way. And I'm not saying like I'm a master, but even telling somebody like, well, what do you think? and then not just moving past their answer, but giving them time to think about their answer, come back to you with the answer, I think can generate something that works in a similar way that those older movies had. At least I hope.
Do you want to talk about your DP a little bit? Because you've talked about the look of this, and I feel like there's so like I've heard you speak so highly of your DP, so I feel like let's shout her out.
Well, Kasusha Jenefeld, who, so obviously I'm always looking to work with people that maybe haven't had an opportunity before, and so I had a list of DPs. It was a list of female DPs. I thought that was important for this story, and when I saw Kasusha's work, I hadn't seen any feature work that she had done, but in the music videos and in the pieces that I saw, there is an artistic voice to what is being shot. It's not just a technical ability, but she thinks like a movie person and loves cinema. And in our first Zoom conversation, when she's talking about Tarkovsky, I was like, we can end the interview now. You got the job. Let's just talk about movies. And I think she's just a fabulous artist and also a great team leader and somebody who genuinely cares about every moment. And that sort of investment in what you're doing makes the difference between a thing being content and a thing being art. And I feel really blessed to work with her, the costume designer, Eric Bergen, our composer, Val, co-editors. There were so many people involved in this production who maybe haven't worked in film before, but are artists in their own field and connected to what the movie was trying to say. And we basically got to make something together, which isn't always the case.
Yeah. I actually really loved your outfit in this. Like, it's just like, she's such like a badass and like a cool girl, but it was like such like a cool outfit to be like dealing with what she's dealing with, and like that's like I love an iconic outfit in like a horror film, right? And then I'm like, that, like if I saw it, I'd be like, I know what you're dressed as, and that's badass. That's fun. Yeah.
It's like a superhero, but also dressed for her own funeral.
Yeah.
Boots, she's gonna ask her.
Exactly. You also use cigarettes after sex in this, and I was like, and I fucking love a good like kill song, and then like that, and I was like, oh my god, this is like happening right now.
I give Sarah credit because we were just driving to dinner one night, and she had her iPhone playing through the car, and I was like, what's this?
Yeah.
She's like, cigarettes after sex, and what I like is in each one of the needle drop songs that are in that movie, the lyrics are literally commenting on what's about to happen.
Yes.
And I'm just like, it's so fun to just, once you start working in those different layers, and the band was gracious enough to accommodate our low budget needs and still grant us the song. So thank you.
See,
so
I love
much.
that so much, and also the music is such a part of this but I always wonder, I'm like, okay, ideally you're like, I would love this song. Like when I see this in my head, this is the song that's playing. But then you have to do the shit about like, okay, legally are we allowed to use this? Like, did you get to use everything you wanted to use?
There was one song, and normally I wouldn't do this because something not working out, it happens for a variety of reasons. But on this one, at the script stage, again, to Sarah's credit, I had bought her was it a Brazilian or a Thai?
It was Brazilian psych
rock compilation. Yeah. And she's like, oh, this is my favorite song. And there's this Brazilian 1960s song that was like, this is amazing. So I wrote that into the script. We shot it with that song. We used it. The label was like, yes, no problem. You just need the artist to say yes. And we haven't heard from them in like 20 years.
No one can find it.
No one can find it. So in this case, it totally could have worked out. And we have a friend who's, speaks Portuguese, so she's translating my emails like, please, we'll show you the movie. And just literally, just because of the modern age and this person's age, just never heard back from them.
Oh my god.
So there
I love that scene so much, and it's such a bitter feeling because I'm like, yes, and my heart breaks.
Yeah, which is obviously I'm so grateful for the band that is in, but it was like, wait, what? This is such a silly reason why.
Yeah. Okay, but now I need a movie about that. I don't care if it's a documentary or you make like a narrative film about it, but like the hunt for the missing artist because you just need their fucking signature for this one thing.
Yeah.
It's hours searching for Sugar Man.
Especially nowadays when you have social media. It seemed like the path in was great, and we even had this artist email, but you know, he's probably 75 or whatever, so it's like maybe he's not checking Facebook.
I also
He's
like to
like-
picture him like totally off the fucking grid. He's like
He
has
is.
like a
I
cave
hope,
somewhere, but
yeah.
it's like a totally tricked out cave, but it's like no one knows where he is.
That's
Yeah.
actually it. That's
Yeah.
why.
Yeah.
Like we could have used the song, but he has turned his back. on
Brand
it.
new
Yeah.
iPhone, but like
Yeah, exactly.
brand new.
He couldn't hear the alerts because the song is just playing at all times.
Oh, I won't check it.
He just uses it to make videos. You know.
Words with friends. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm gonna play
I'm
this.
real big on words with friends. And Wordle. I like to get in the Wordle.
Anagram.
But I'm asking, would you make me a playlist, please? I just like.
Sure.
Okay.
Yeah, sure.
Maybe I'll share it on the site. Maybe I won't. Maybe it's just for me.
Okay,
But I feel
okay.
like I think you have impeccable music taste.
Oh,
probably.
thanks, Bob.
So-
Yeah.
Yeah.
We.
Very cool.
This is. Never mind.
No, I'm saying.
Okay, so when I was growing up and you'd like steal a bunch of the liquor from all the bottles so that it was invisible, we'd call that shit mix.
Okay.
And so when I don't put on a playlist, but I just am like, all songs,
Yeah.
shuffle all. I'm like, time for shit mix. Like, and
Little bit
sometimes it's pretty
Colin Stetson.
magical. Like sometimes some good things happen.
Hell
So
yeah,
I'll make
yeah,
you
I'm gonna like kick open the door, like invite me to a party, you won't now because I'm telling you this is I'm gonna kick open the door and be like, it's time for shit mix! And you're like,
And I'll bring both versions. I'll be like a bottle of God knows what and like a playlist of God knows what.
hell yeah, so that's something like, Angel, how did you get our address? Get the fuck out.
That's what I call Christmas. The best kind.
Is there anything else you guys would like to share with us before we go? Anything that you would like the viewers at home to know about A Wounded Fawn?
Yeah. Or about me. Do you guys have anything you want to say?
If you would, okay, if we could
Please
go
don't.
around the circle and just each like hype, like say one hypey thing about your team members, hype each other up.
Sarah's performance continues to floor me. She really
I regret
listens,
this.
and
I
it's
regret
crazy. It just creates so crazy to have an act like when we've all been acting for so long, but to really, really do it and sit there and actually see your partner listening to you is so transcendental. Especially when you're like playing characters that truly aren't, it wasn't myself, but that is something I hope people recognize just or take away just in the feeling of watching movies like, oh, these were real people.
Yeah.
And we're going for the ride with these real people, or Sarah's character, that is a real person. I'm so and going for the ride, being so excited to take the ride because like they want her to succeed and survive. But that was my takeaway. Was just the experience it was transcendental. It's like, oh man, this is what it's all about. It's like acting class and great cinema. Two characters talking, two characters tuned into each other. And people are just like, oh man, they're really listening to each other.
Yeah, I love that.
Despite all the crazy shit.
Right.
Yeah, I love enormously how much Josh managed to humanize Bruce without diminishing what's wrong with him or
Right.
excusing it or like he's you're angry with him and you shouldn't be, while also I think like reducing him to human size,
Right.
and I don't think that often happens with bad guys. We kind of understandably see them as monsters because the damage they cause is very real, but like they see themselves as greater than,
Right.
and they are not.
Right.
And it's like he's not a hero or an anti-hero. He's a man having a tantrum because he's done something bad, and people are like, "You did something bad, man," and he's like, "Ah!" Like it's like. It's so it's maybe not cathartic, but it's so satisfying to see that, and you did it in a way that I don't think has been done before, and I really you made this movie.
I agree.
I
did not think that when I first saw him. I'm just like, would I cast this fucking dude?
It's
I don't know if
brilliant,
I buy
yeah.
it, but I mean, it's all because of the basically the parameters that were set in the playground that was given to us by Travis, and just trusting us, right?
Travis had put so much thought into this and fucking brought the weird hammer. And it's like
from the Thor.
it's like
welcome the Thor weirdness.
Yeah.
Thor, weird, and hammer.
It's a little weird. It's a little creep. It's a little perv. It's like smart and tender and
It's
all these
me.
things. It's you!
All
Yeah.
of your favorite things are my favorite things.
Have you guys
But I'm just so grateful to be at the point in my life and at the point of this industry where I can work with people, like-minded people, to make something together, and I think we're able to communicate really clearly about what we're trying to do, what the value is that we're doing, how we're going to approach it. That hasn't always been the case, at least in my experience, and so to find collaborators who, whether it's a joke or something serious, we're there, we're all present, and we're all in the car together, going in the same destination. And to give credit, I think Fangoria is also a part of why those conversations are a lot easier now, because we're able to sort of talk about horror films in a more nuanced way. We're looking at a wider variety of it. The conversations about maybe things we've seen before, things we haven't seen before, people who haven't had a chance to say anything before, all of that I think is resulting in just a much more open communication about ideas and about what a horror film can be. And I just feel super grateful to you, and to you for being a part of that process, at least for me, a part of the process of why we're here now and why this movie exists and why it works the way it works.
I can't
Amen.
like end it on anything better than that. That's it. That's great. All right, thank you so much, guys. Wounded Fawn, check it out. When can everyone check that out? Do you know?
Oh, we're not going to release it.
Oh yeah, no, it was for us.
Sucks for you guys.
Sorry.
It'd be
You can go to MichelobUltra.com/Wounded Fawn to find out what's your marinade.
It's going to be released in 5-minute chunks.
You
Oh,
will
we're not
have
just-
to find me, track
Yeah.
me down, and I'll release it in 5 minutes.
And feel free to throw this on like text on the screen. This movie exists solely because Shudder, the streaming service, believes in supporting weird fucking horror movies, and it will be on the service before the end of the year. And thank you, Shudder, because we love you.
Thank you, Shudder, for bringing the weird hammer straight into people's homes.
Weird hammer!